Hello, this is Paul Hoffer, and I was doing my sign off video. First, a little bit of comment about the Plotinus and the readings of this week. Quite frankly, I found them a bit disappointing in contrast with the readings from last week. Plotinus seems to put so much emphasis on the one and the notion of the world soul and the world mind that he sort of forgets about the people that are the result of that, and he's not very clear as to how we really participate or interact with this world mind, world soul, uh, the one, or the notion, his notion of God. This whole idea of an impersonal God who is just there, and somehow we're sort of like a cast off, or even as I think, as he put it in the readings, that we're basically excrement or just dirt, uh, and that matter really is evil or dirty. Uh, this whole idea that uh, the only thing that that matter is capable of, without somehow this aspect of the soul, is that our bodies are really good for nothing other than to sort of entrap and enslave the whole soul or spirit aspect of the one, and that our spirits are attempting to escape and get back to the one after being entrapped and imprisoned in our bodies. In contrast, you look at the Christian idea of, or actually say the Aristotelian idea that our bodies, that a human being is a composite of both matter and soul, and that both have a vital aspect or a vital part of making up a whole human being, which in fact is carried on in the Christian theology and even in the Muslim theology that we see in the medieval philosophy course that I took earlier this summer. So I found it a bit disappointing. That said, uh, looking at the readings through the entire course, it was a very enjoyable trip. Uh, as I pointed out in one of my prior posts, it's about the journey, the road, so to speak, and that we're always on that road, traveling forward. And we see that through Thales and the other pre-Socratic philosophers. We see the world opening up to them, and in their questioning and trying to figure things out, the wonder, uh, the love that they have for the world, and to understand their place in that world. Uh, Even though we're separated by millennia from these philosophers, we still ask the same questions even today. And in what little I know of the modern philosophical ideas, really, somehow some of the answers that they came up with are perhaps a bit more satisfying and a bit more comforting than the ideas of Sartre and Nietzsche and Kant and some of these other folks that really have picked up on this Plotinus's idea that uh, it's all that the matter is somehow bad, uh, or really there's something wrong with human beings, uh, that the materialism of those philosophers seem to project in their philosophies. Um, I really enjoyed reading the works by Plato. I sort of would have hoped to have read maybe the Phaedo, since that seems to figure into some of the things that I've been studying for my final paper, and also maybe the Parmenides, which sound like a really interesting dialogue, since Socrates appears to have lost that dialogue, which the honesty that comes across in that's probably a bit refreshing, because no one wants to admit that they lost an argument. Aristotle, what can you say about him? The separation that comes from this idea of one in the versus the many, or one over the many, he bridges that gap by placing the one within the many. This idea of forms and the idea of universals actually makes it a part of us. The Stoics, again, their ideas, their moral theology, on the surface seems to be very noble, but again, there's just something that's left out. And if nothing else, the philosophy courses that I've taken this summer have tended to show me that that philosophy without revelation, there's only so much that reason can go. It can only take us so far. And likewise, the whole idea of theology and revelation is that even though we can believe, because we're human beings and we're always questing, or as Augustine says, we're always restless until we find our rest in God, that philosophy provides some sort of certitude or certainty that sometimes bolsters and helps actually increase the faith by giving us certainty in the world around us. With that, Dr. Schlachter, this course was very enjoyable and very stimulating, much more than I thought it would be as an online course. And as enjoyable as it was, the real joy was interacting with the students who participated in this class with me. And with that, blessings, and I hope to see you all in the fall, if I can overcome some of my physical issues. And you all take care, and God bless.